What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be part one of our video series of swapping a 47RE into my first gen. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. But this is my 1992 W250 automatic A518 truck that in a previous video I have dynoed for baseline numbers, and we are going to do a 47RE conversion with NP241 swap on the transfer case. And we're going to see how much horsepower we gain or that we don't gain by acquiring a lockup and a lighter transfer case. And I'm very anxious to see what happens, but this is going to be a video over getting the A518 and the NP205 out of the truck and getting it on the table and getting it drained and all that good stuff. In the following video, I will be disassembling the 47RE that is our core and going over how we are going to control that unit and what all we are really doing with this swap. So stay tuned and be ready for the next videos. If you guys are interested in 47 swaps, definitely hit the subscribe button. Both of my first gens have a 47, so one's a 2-wheel drive, one's a 4-wheel drive. I'll be able to answer all your questions, hopefully. So let's get rolling. I want to give you guys a good before and after of what we got going on here. So, very dirty, to say the least. Some good leaks. Looks like rear main and rear main housing is leaking, so we're going to fix that. It's not leaking out of the dipstick anymore, but it was. Everything's just coated. Just look how dirty everything is. We're going to try and take our time here and really clean up this truck tomorrow after everything comes out, but it is time to get rid of this poor A518. It's lived a good life, but we've got other plans. Alright, I want to show you guys, I guess it's not really a hack. If you're a tech or a mechanic, it's really not a hack, but let me get that in there. So this is just an impact flexible or swivel socket, essentially. It's a shallow 16. It fits, man, this is kind of a pain. It fits right up in here for drive shaft bolts and zips them right out. So definitely highly recommend. I have a full set. Mine are snap-on, but obviously you can get them from Gear Inch. They make some X-Core ones. Everybody makes them. So that's a very nice tool to invest in. I've used well worth what I've spent on them. So, and it makes this way easier of a process. All right, and might as well do another little tip. So there is a U-joint cap. Obviously, whenever you're doing a transmission removal or R&R, whatever you would like to call it, always check every U-joint on the truck. And you can see this side has not been getting any grease. This side is. It's still good, but this is a perfect time to replace U-joints while they're out. This one does have slop in it. Obviously, we have to get our drive shafts changed anyway, but that's another just tip from myself, just for your own safety and the safety of others, especially if you're going to dyno it or anything like that, or do some sled pulling, or want to keep the cab floor intact, especially if you have a 3rd gen. Definitely check those every single time and make sure they're greased regularly. Alright, so whenever you take off, or basically everything's taken off, the shift linkage for the T-case, it's rather odd, but there is like a cotter pin you gotta knock out and then punch the shaft through. Your speed sensor on the other side and your breather tube all need to come off. But these are going to be a 9/16. Surprisingly, they are the same on 1st gens, and there's an alternation of bolts going into the T-case and then studs sticking out of the T-case. I'm not sure what that's about, but it'll not be going back in like that. And really the best tool for this is a 9/16 swivel ratchet wrench, or flex head ratchet wrench, because it allows you to just get on all of them and speed through it rather than sit there with other things. On some of these bottom ones, you might be able to get a swivel impact socket on it like I had for the drive shaft that you guys just saw. So you could try that as well, but I'm going to stick to All Reliable. This does work very well, and this is how we do them here at the shop. So if you guys were wanting a little tech tip on that as well, how we do it, that is how. Alright, forewarning, if any of you guys are doing this in your driveway, the MP205 is just dumb heavy. So we have ratchet straps rigged up on a trans jack to get this thing out. I know Derek has done it in his garage, but like, if it comes down, just get out of the way. Alright guys, so that was the bottom portion of the cross member we just dropped. It's mainly all 11/16 with 5/8 bolts, and then the big ones in the middle were 24s. And they all came out relatively well. There's 3 on each side there, and then 2 in the middle. And then now you have some of these larger pieces, which I think we can take this next section all as one right here. And then the side pieces we will get, and those are the same 11/16. They're just gonna be at a worse angle, and you'll have to get a wrench on top of the frame rail to hold those still. But you guys also did not see me unbolt the shifter linkage, or the 4-wheel drive shifter linkage from the side of the transmission. That is to 14 mils, I believe, or 9/16, whichever. And the rest of everything's unplugged. Just, there's a trans temp sensor in the line, and then your neutral safety, your shift linkage, and then the, well, it's not an 8-pin on an A518, but the pin on top as well. But besides that, we've got the trans jack under it. After we get all this stuff off, we will do converter bolts, and I will show you what we do on that and the tools that we choose to use for that. Then we'll drop this thing out of here. Alright, we're going to do converter bolts, and the best way to go about this is from the front of the engine. I'm in front of the front axle, and I've got the inspection cover off. And if you guys can see the bolt through there, that is the converter bolt on this. Looks to be a factory converter, and it uses a 16 millimeter. And we use the same swivel sockets on these, and really just impact those out and then bar the engine over. On first gens, it is pretty impossible to get to the damper, so usually just take the inspection cover off the trans, which mine's always off, and get a pry bar and just bar it over like that. Or if you have a barring tool, I have one in my box, but the plug's not out, and honestly it takes way longer using the barring tool. So this is going to be the method we use, and just this is a long, I think 24-inch extension from Snap-on. That tends to work the best. Use them on basically every generation of Dodge. We're going to zip these out and then move on to bell housing bolts. Alright guys, so we are to where we're ready to take off bell housing bolts. So one thing I'd forgotten to take off was the linkage for the shifter mount up here on the corner of the trans. It's a 11/16 I believe is what it was. And then our lines, I definitely cut those off because they were being pretty stubborn, and I'm getting rid of all those lines anyway. I'm putting a aftermarket transmission cooler on it, so all the lines are coming off. I wasn't worried about cutting them, so we cut away. Now we've got bell housing bolts, and one of the bell housing bolts holds the dipstick tube in, so I usually take that one out first, pop the dipstick tube out, and put a plug in it if there's any fluid still left in it, but mine does not have any fluid in it. So we're just going to pop that out. And there's a tab that holds a wire harness on the left side with the bell housing bolt, and then again on the right side, the exhaust hanger is a bell housing bolt, but I've already got that out. So we've got a handful of them left, and then we're going to drop the transmission.